Hi everyone, it's Marie here from Peartree Cutfiles. I'm back today with my first process video in a while. This one is for our crop. So you might be watching this video as part of the crop, you might not. We had an online crop on the 29th, 30th and 31st of January 2021. And this was challenge one, which is that sketch there that you can see in the top right corner of the page and was on earlier. So just before we carry on any further, I must just mention therefore that this video classes as an advertisement because I'm using my cut files today. So my challenge is to use the sketch provided and a cut file. Combined together. You can interpret the sketch in any way that you want. You can flip it, rotate it, have one photograph instead of two, but by the end of the challenge it needs to be clear that your layout has come from the sketch provided. So I'm today using the Simple Stories Vintage Great Escape collection. I have the papers and I think I've got the two different ephemera packs. Now I faff about with my paper choices for absolutely ages, but I knew when I saw this sketch what I wanted to do. So I wanted to use that Woodland Walks cut file because part of the sketch across the bottom there says large title, so that's quite a large title, and it's also got a little toadstool for the L of Woodland, and I want to say recently, but it was last year sometime, probably around about October. We went for a walk at a local nature reserve, and we saw, for the first time in my life, I saw real, proper, red spotted toadstools. I'd never seen them before. I've only ever seen the white ones. We then ended up spending the entire walk searching for more of them, but we got a couple of photographs of them, and I really wanted to document it because, like I say, it's not something I've seen before, so I knew that's what I wanted to be the focus of the Woodland Walks cut file, and I had two photographs. It all seemed to fit perfectly with this sketch. Now I've chosen to go with a strip of the map, like the kind of antique map paper, to go across as my band of. I've stuck to the sketch quite closely, so I've used that to go across, and I've then faffed about choosing. I do take a long time choosing things, but I faffed about choosing and chose it's like a checked dark green paper that I've gone and I've traced around all the inside letters of the cut file, or drawn around them, and then as I've cut them out I've left a gap, so I haven't cut along the pencil line. I've cut say maybe, I don't know, 2 or 3 millimeters wider than that, so that there's enough overlap to stick it down with. Now I always do put the middles of my letters in. It's a personal thing. Some people like to leave them out. I have to put them in. I don't like leaving them. And then I do decide to cut them out as well, which does take me a little bit of fiddling with my craft knife. But I do decide to cut out those middles as well and not leave them in. So yeah, take all of those little bits out. But I'm happy with that green colour. It goes nicely with the kind of beigey colour of the map and the feel of the photographs. I don't think I've printed my photographs. You've not seen them yet, but they come in very soon. I do print them out on my selfie, so I do them. Oh, there they are. I do print them. I think they're 4x3, and I always print with a small white border on because I do like a white border around a photograph. Now again, I faff about for ages trying to work out what to do. I decided to use the part of the cut apart sheet here to sort of map my photographs onto. So I want to put them both on that one piece, and then a little bit later I do back them further as well. Now I'm just about to back this toadstool when I suddenly realised that if I do that I'm going to have red spots as well, and there are white spots. So I pull out a little bit more of this map paper, and I find all the little bits and I position them really carefully so that there's no lines. I just use sort of that creamy colour to be all the spots, so they get all stuck on separately first, because otherwise I was going to have to either fill them in or cut them out, and they're tiny and I didn't want to do that, so I decided I definitely needed to do those spot bits first. And then again I'm just using that little bit of red that you can see there near my scissors as the backing for the back of the top of the toadstool, because it just needed that kind of, I just wanted to pull those pops of red in. Now as you can see at the moment everything's sat on a piece of white cardstock. I do generally go for white backgrounds. I do love a white background. I love a crisp, clean white background. Now, one thing I don't show you on the video, because it was an absolute disaster, was that I tried to use some Distress Oxides and a blending brush to blend some green to just be kind of poking out from behind the back of the photographs. Now, the problem is the green I have is a little bit on the bright side, and it was day glow. It was just it didn't fit with the greens of the layout at all, and it just wasn't quite right. So then I faffed about for ages, deciding whether to use that or not, tried putting extra colours on, and in the end I decided to go completely differently and use a pattern paper background instead. Now this orangey paper here, it's covered in little tiny white spots. I've decided to use that for my background. Now on the back of that is another map. So as I've curled that little bit over there at the top, you can see bits of a map poking through, and then I love that. Like I say, I don't normally go for a pattern paper background at all. I'm usually an absolute stickler for a white background, but yeah, decided to go for it. And I have distressed the edges of that map. You can't see it very clearly here, but you can see it on the close-ups at the end of the video. Now what I do to start with is play around with all the different pieces of ephemera, just to see what I want to use. Now in the ephemera pack for this particular collection, there's absolutely tons of mushrooms and toadstools, so I could have gone absolutely kind of crazy with them and put them all on, but I had to restrain myself because I'm not a less is more kind of person, but I don't want to absolutely cover my layout in I could have put all the things on there and I decided not to. So that's roughly what I'm going to go for. I will tell you now, they don't end up in that position in the end. I do move them all around. But the first thing I'm going to do is to do some more distressing. So that bit of paper there is going to get distressed. And then I'm going to put my, I'm going to map my photographs again before they go onto there. I did consider vellum, but you couldn't really see it very well. And then that kind of ferny paper there looked a lot better. So I cut a couple of pieces of that. I used to cut everything on my guillotine. I now do it with scissors because I do just enjoy having that kind of distressed edge. So therefore it doesn't really matter if it's not perfectly straight. So, and I always map things wonky as well. I never map things straight because if I try and do it straight, it's never going to be straight. So I might as well head for wonky to start with. And that's roughly the positioning of everything. So then I'm going to stick a whole load of double-sided sticky foam on all my letters. I don't want masses. I try not to have like masses and masses of dimension on layouts that are going to, especially when I know this is going to end up in an album. But it does definitely want a little bit of dimension on it. This foam, it's double-sided, it's quite thin, but it just gives that extra little bit of lift. Now I do make a bit of a mistake here because I peel off all the backing and I stick it down, and then I realise a little bit later, you'll notice, that I actually wanted to tuck some ephemera underneath my title. I can no longer do that because I've stuck it down. So then it doesn't work, but never mind. I figure it out in the end. Now that piece of paper there that's just being tucked in, you may have noticed I haven't stuck it down at the top, because what I want to do is have that card there. That's another one of the cut apart sheets. I want it to tuck in to be my journaling. I did consider actually printing another couple of photographs out and putting them on there because we're on the same walk. I got a lovely one of my son taking a photograph himself, but in the end I decided actually it's going to be for my journaling, but I do want to be able to pull it out, so I've left the top of that piece of card so that can slide in and out really nicely. It doesn't quite go in as far as I want, so just trim a little bit of extra off there and then distress the edges like I've done on everything else. Just sticking that mushroom down on top of the photograph so it stays put. And then I use this punch. This is a very old punch that I've had for ages. It's a Stampin' Up punch. It's like a tab thing. So I've just glued that on there so that there's something that you can pull on to get the little card out from behind with the journaling on. Now I'm going to play around with the ephemera again. This is the point I realise I've stuck way too much down and I can't get everything to tuck in where it was going to tuck in before. So we have to get creative now. And what I do is I just change the position of a few things. And it works absolutely fine. I play around with moving them and shifting them, and but once they're in the position that I want them in, they do just stay there, because all I do, you'll see me in a minute, is I just lift up the edge of the piece of ephemera and squirt a little bit of glue in, and that makes it easy. Just gluing a bit more of that matte paper up where on that top corner there where I've ripped. That I was going to have, I mean, on the sketch there's a couple of pieces of paper and a bit of ephemera up there. I was going to stick some ephemera up there, but it's all quite big, and it just didn't feel quite right to me, so I decided in the end I'm just going to leave it as that ripped open part at the top. Just pop in a few pieces of dimensional foam, little foam pads, under various bits of the foliage, just to pop them off the page slightly, to give it a little bit of dimension, and making sure that everything is appropriately kind of stuck down, nothing's going to go anywhere. I don't want to lose any bits of it. Now, I do play around with some of the stickers. I found a lovely one that says Adventure, which goes on the top there. I play around with that one for ages. I'm not sure, does it stay there? Yes, I think it does stay there in the end. And I think I play around. I wonder whether to put that Live Life up at the top. In the end, I think I decide, no, I'm not going to leave it there. And I play around a little bit more. So I just stick a little bit of tiny heart in there. And then this is the last thing I do, is I just wanted to break up that orangey space at the back and just put a few splatters on. I love putting splatters on layout. And that's about it. That's my layout done. So here come a few close-ups so you can see the detail. Thank you ever so much for joining me on my process video today. I hope you enjoyed watching. And I really do hope, if you're playing along with the crop this weekend, that you'll have loads of fun. And remember to put your layouts in the album. The closing date for the album is it's 10 p.m. GMT on the 7th of February to get all your things into the album. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed the crop, and thank you ever so much for watching my video today. See you again soon. Bye for now.